Hello everyone, good morning. Nachi Gordon here from Meaningful Minute, Meaningful People, and I am presenting to you a new podcast called The Daily Thread. I'll be sitting down with my father, Larry Gordon, I think 4 mornings a week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and discussing what in the world is going on in the world. Stories that pertain to our lives from Jews around the world. It could be my voice choir going viral. What's up with that? It could be what's going on in Uman, what's going on in your Jewish community around anywhere in the world. So I hope you enjoy. There's a lot that happens in our day-to-day life. There's a lot of really meaningful things that happen in our day-to-day life. And we are looking forward to, using this platform to shine a spotlight on the good stuff that's happening, especially. Again, like I said, I'm joined by my father, Larry Gordon. He's been involved in media for the last, over 30, 40 years. So I hope you enjoy this conversation. I don't know if this is a good thing that's happening, but something that's definitely happening, which is very interesting, is the recent, virality or the rise of Miami Boys Choir. Miami Boys Choir that, I don't know, first of all, I wonder why they're called Miami Boys Choir.
Well, to what I read this morning, it started in Miami.
Really? Yachmil Begun started in Miami?
Started in Miami. I don't know what he was doing there. Maybe he was in yeshiva there. I think it started I'm not sure. I think 72 maybe.
Really?
And then he moved to New York and he kept the name Miami Boys Choir.
So for those who aren't familiar, on social media, on TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, everywhere, it started, I guess, a few weeks ago where Miami Boys Choir became active on social media and they started posting clips from concerts that took place 20-some years ago. And one of their famous songs, Yerushalayim, was posted online, and it has well over, on their page it has over 7.1 million views, but it has tens of millions of views on the internet. And this is not Jewish viral, this is viral. This is world viral.
To tell you the truth, I don't know the psychology of TikTok and how it works. I know it's for people basically with very, very minimal limited attention span. Minute, I think not measurable in any mathematical way.
I wonder what it means though in a
Siyata D'Shmaya
on a high, yeah,
no pun intended.
Because that's also one of their big songs. Yeah, on a higher level, the fact that Miami Boys Choir has gone crazy viral during Yom Noraim.
There was a time before cable TV.
Yeah,
there was, for very, very many years, there was only cable TV in New York. There was only cable TV in New York City. Okay, and when we were kids or teenagers, if we had a friend in Manhattan, you wanted to watch a Knicks playoff game, for example, you had to go to your friend's house in Manhattan because they had the Knicks games on cable TV. It wasn't available anyplace else. And, and also in those days, the Farbrengens with Lubavitch Rebbe used to be broadcast on cable TV, and they came under blistering criticism. How could you go on TV? There's so much bad stuff and so much schmutz, they used to say, on cable TV because it was uncensored, it was this, it was that. But the whole idea, which the world at that stage anyway could not make room in their heads for, was that everything that is created in the world, there should be a way to use it for a holy way, to inject some kedusha into the process. And I think that was demonstrated. And I think TikTok is known for having...
Yeah, I think that
What's TikTok known for? What's it? It has crazy things.
I know, but I think that I respect to the people who stay off of those platforms because it's not necessarily a good place. And if there are people who they think that these TikTok specifically is a place to stay off of, and I agree, it's not necessarily a place to be on.
Well, this proves that there's an upside and a downside to everything.
Is it an upside? Is what happened an upside?
There's an upside and downside to everything. You could drive your car to go to Davamirav late at night someplace far away, and you could, if you're inebriated and you get into an accident, then your car is being used for a bad thing, So that's what I mean. That's an extreme example, but there's an upside and a downside for everything. And this is TikTok, cable TV, TikTok, the internet. It is what it is, but it has the ability. Am Yisrael has the ability to interject kedusha into and use it in a positive way, as you know from the Daf Yomi Shiurim, the Real Clear Daf, and Daf Digest. These are all things that are distributed via the internet.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens with Miami Voice Choir. I kind of think that it'd be pretty cool if they could do like a reunion concert and have those guys back, just to do another show.
Well, see, I read that one of the guys is in the Maccabees today.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I guess you didn't read the whole story, did you?
That's why you're here.
I have the patience to read the whole story. I'm not on TikTok, so I can read an entire story.
Speaking of stories, on to the next one. Over Yontif, which, by the way, was beautiful.
Yes.
Yontif.
Yes.
I davened in Kalmavak Sheh Hashem, led by Joey Newcomb.
Right. And I davened at congregation-based Beirish.
In
Lawrence. Beirish Fuchs is a beautiful shul with a beautiful minyan, beautiful Balei Tefillah.
Something that we noticed growing up, we would walk to shul down Central Avenue, and we would pass by Temple Israel, which is the Reform Temple here in the Five Towns. And it used to be there was cars parked for miles and miles and miles. People just flocking to that temple. Now it's empty.
It's not just that it's empty. And that Temple Israel is the flagship, was known as the flagship Reform Temple on Long Island.
Really? People would travel from far.
It's truth of the matter is, the Five Towns today is known. We live here, and we know that it's basically one of the anchor from communities in the world.
Whoa.
Outside.
I don't know about that.
Well, outside of Eretz Yisrael, I would say.
Anchor from community in the world? I think, first of all, Israel.
I said outside of Eretz Yisrael.
I think Lakewood will consider themselves an anchor from community in the world. I think Flatbush will consider themselves an anchor from community in the world.
Let's leave that to different people's opinions. I'm talking in terms of its international renown. Okay?
Five Towns has an international renown. I had no idea about that. What's the Five Towns international renown?
Listen, I know the last time I was in Israel, which was beginning of July, I was at the Kotel to daven one morning, and one of the collectors comes over. In the morning, they spot you, they profile you. They see you're not from Jerusalem, you're not an Israeli. I don't know how. I guess. Exude that kind of air, I guess.
Yeah, well, because you stop and speak to them. That's how they know.
No, I was just there davening, and this is why I drew that conclusion. So the guy says to me, he wants to guess where I'm from, and I can't speak out. I have my tonsils filling on in the middle of davening. So he says to me, "Where are you from? Brooklyn, Muncie." Five Towns. That was his third choice.
Okay, so like I said, like Brooklyn, Muncie, and I think Lakewood. I don't know. I wonder how people would rank in terms of Jewish communities.
I guess I didn't project the Lakewood image.
Lakewood's definitely is probably number one on a lot of people's lists. Definitely on the people from Lakewood's list.
Yeah, but so why'd you bring that up? Oh, we were talking about
Temple Israel.
The Temple Israel is a Reform temple. It's a flagship temple. Truth of the matter is, it's been either empty or underused for many, many years.
It's got to be an Orthodox.
We live here 30 years. They don't want to sell it because will signal a defeat for the Reform movement. The Reform movement nationally knows Temple Israel in Lawrence, and if even though it's empty, they will not sell it. Although I think let me back up. The JCC of Five Towns bought it. They have their preschool there,
right.
And I think that Temple Israel has a long-term lease. To use it, but certainly COVID was a reason not for everyone not to go to shul.
Mm-hmm.
Most everybody came back, except they never came back,
right?
For whatever reason. But you're right. When you were a kid, Central Avenue was lined up with spectacular, like an auto show. With the Mercedes-Benz, Rolls Royces on occasion, Bentleys.
People were there, and now you walk by and it's empty.
Yeah, they came by.
Time to be, like the Reform movement, I guess, is taking a hit.
Yeah, and Yom Kippur used to end at 2:00 in the afternoon at the Reform Temple.
Used to eat.
All the cars would be, I guess I had to go, but all the cars would be gone by 2 to 3 o'clock on Yom Kippur afternoon. That's we're being a little bit cynical about it, But the fact of the matter is that is the overwhelming majority of American Jews.
A lot of Jews were in Uman.
Yes.
Over Rosh Hashanah.
I saw that.
As soon as we all turned off on our phones after Yontif, one of the main headlines that we saw was, "We thwarted Russian attacks on Uman."
Yeah, I think that's
Ukraine.
true.
Ukraine is claiming that there were attacks that were planned over Uman, and they thwarted it. They prevented it from happening.
So you think that happened?
Agree or disagree?
I don't know. I know that on the subject of Uman, of course, it was much less. It was about 10,000 people went this year, as opposed to the usual 50,000 or more.
Okay.
I could imagine, mostly men go there, right? They usually leave their families at home. If they're married, they usually leave their wives and children home. I could imagine a lot of wives protested this year.
I don't know.
And who knows? I bet you there was an unusual amount of one-way tickets sold. Because why should you waste so much money if you're not sure you're coming back?
Right.
So that's one thing to consider. But I'm not going to say I never went. You have a desire to go to Uman?
Uman, I
take your cameras with you.
No,
that'd be pretty cool.
I think that people who are. I have never had a desire to go to Uman at all. I never really had a desire to go anywhere outside of America that is in Israel. But there are people who are connected to Breslov that it's
the Holy of Holies.
Yeah, it's very.
There was a movement about I guess in the last 10 years to take Reb Nachman's remains and rebury him in Eretz Yisrael.
Yeah, but I think that was very
man, they went crazy when they wanted to do that. You know what that means? That means no more going to Uman for Rosh Hashanah. That would be a disaster on so many levels for a lot of families.
Listen, we wish everyone a safe travels home from Uman. I hope you had a beautiful Yontif there. A big Mazel Tov over Yontif. Shari Tzedek reports that 51 girls and 49 boys were born over Rosh Hashanah.
Wow.
100 babies on Rosh Hashanah at Shari Tzedek. There's a shidduch crisis right there. 51 girls, 49 boys.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's 2 days. That's not really 1 day, although they say that fasting induces labor.
Well,
Most babies are born either on
Yom Kippur or Tisha
B'Av. So I guess that may have changed somewhat.
I don't know what that has to do with Rosh Hashanah.
Well, it's 2 days,
But no one's fasting on Rosh Hashanah.
No, they're not fasting on Rosh Hashanah. I guess they were just due to give birth, so they gave birth. And the population has grown. At the beginning of the new year, they come out with the latest statistics on the population in Israel. You probably have that somewhere on your phone.
Yeah, of course.
But what was it? 15 million is the total population now of Israel. I think over 10 million Jews living in Israel today.
Really?
So those are big numbers.
Amazing. A big shout out, and we'll put this on the screen for those who are watching. The U-Rock person of the day I have is the Florence family. We have a picture. It says in front of their house, which I think might be in Flatbush. It says, "Welcome, meal times, night 9 p.m., daytime 3:30, Shana Tova, the Florence family." This is via MKY. They had a sign outside their house. Anybody who's walking by,
they can. Where is that, in Brooklyn?
I think so. I think they can come for meals.
There's a guy like that. There's a guy like that in Crown Heights too. One of the Rabashkins.
They just have everybody over.
For a lot of Lubavitcher Hasidim come to Crown Heights from around the world for the month of Tishrei, and he has a huge sukkah and a huge catering operation around the clock for guests to come and eat their meals at all times. I mean, I know it's been chronicled on the different platforms over the years, and I'm sure it'll be posted somewhere this year too. Being
that we're in a new year, Balaz shows a video. After the end of Shemitah, Jewish farmers in Israel plowing their fields tonight for the first time in a year.
But it's going to take quite a few months for stuff to start growing. So the Shemitah is really, it's more than 7 years, really. It's more like at least 7.5 years.
Really?
You just plant and stuff has to grow. And that takes a lot of time. So
you're saying Shemitah really is more than a year?
Well,
the effects of Shemitah.
Yeah, of course. Anything that grew over Shemitah, you don't use. But now they're starting to plow and plant, and the winter's coming too.
Yeah.
The truth of the matter is, you may not have use of these things for almost a year.
Well, okay, that's good to know for people in Israel. That's pretty much what's going on today. Today is also Tzom Gedalia. We're fasting.
Yes, we're fasting, and it's a beautiful thing in a way because we ate too much over Rosh Hashanah.
That's what we do.
So it's good timing that you have a fast day to fine tune your digestive system.
I think that no matter how much you ate in Rosh Hashanah, everyone's still hungry today.
Of course, we're hungry, but it's a good. What's today? Today's Wednesday. You're gonna be fasting next Wednesday too.
A little bit longer than
You're gonna be starting on Tuesday night. It's gonna be a 25-hour fast. Because of the lateness, it's not a much earlier Zman, but it's an earlier Zman than usual. I think I saw that the fast is over next Wednesday at 7:10 or 7:11 p.m. Not a dramatic change to what it usually is, but when Yom Kippur comes out earlier in September, you're talking about sometimes 7:40, 7:38, 7:40, 7:44.
right.
You know, and every minute counts when you're
not eating.
And
Absolutely.
in Israel, I think it's even earlier.
Yeah. And of course, we know that going on in Florida, there is Hurricane Ian.
Right. That's a.
Did it make landfall in like the areas?
It's supposed to be. It's wreaking havoc all over Florida. The weather's terrible. They're having torrential downpours. I think the storm is supposed to hit the west side of the state of Florida, which is where Tampa is. Tampa, St. Petersburg. You know, from the old spring training days when you used to follow those teams.
Yeah, when I used to follow those teams.
So that's on the west side of Florida. But you know, once it hits land, it does a lot of damage. But that's what breaks the storm up, and then it dies and just goes off in different directions. And
yeah,
brings a lot of rain here and there.
There's another story that recently was there's an article about from Rifki Silver, which is on meaningfulminute.org.
Okay.
The article is called Houston, We Have a Problem. That's one of the columns that we have on the website is Houston, We Have a Problem.
Okay.
And that problem being mockery. And
what is it? Mockery?
Mockery.
Okay.
And the issue that was brought up is about this fake prosthetic toe ad.
Oh yeah, I saw
that they had out there. And which I thought for a good amount of time was real.
It's a joke?
But supposedly it's fake.
Yeah.
And Rifki sort of took the stance of how it's just not right. It's mockery. You're making fun. You're just trying to get people riled up. So some people will say, "Oh, just relax. It's just a joke," and then other people would say that it duped people. People thought it was real. How many people do you know that said, "Oh my gosh, it has a phone number. I called. It's real"?
I don't know anybody that called. I know some people that mentioned it to me that they saw it, but. It makes a mockery of this.
It makes a mockery
idea.
of sneeze, I think.
Yeah, well, that really opens up to a much deeper debate, which I think starts with something that neither you or I have the right to really.
No, I don't think that.
I'm talking about the way women cover their hair. It's like the objective today of covering your hair is so that it not look like your hair is covered, so it looks like natural, right?
I'm not.
You don't want to comment.
No,
on
I'm
that,
not
right?
talking about that at all. I'm just talking about the fact of making a joke of people who are extra machmir or sensitive. Not to say like this thing is real at all. It's not real.
Yeah.
But what was the intended result when putting out something like that? To make people,
I don't know. It would have been more appropriate, I guess, around Purim time.
exactly, not during.
All right, but someone has a sense of humor. And, I guess people are very scrupulous and careful about, wearing open-toe shoes. I know I don't wear any open-toe shoes. When you have sandals, but...
I guess it's past your... I mean, you're maybe a little too old for the open-toe shoes.
What am I... Who wears open... You wear open-toe shoes?
Not publicly. Maybe like in the summer.
I mean, but women do. And, like I said, you're going to post this today, and we probably should not profess any type of expertise in
certainly not
that area. So if you want to survive our first broadcast,
yeah. But you go read that article on meaningfulminute.org. Another thing that's going on in the Meaningful Minute world is we have Tefillah Before Tech right now. That is an initiative during Aseres Meitshuva where just when you wake up, daven first, daven before going on your phone and going on your computer, and because honestly the day will get away from you. So Tefillah Before Tech, that's something we got going on.
Before you check your phone, you should say brachas.
No, you should even you should daven
before you even
listen.
look at your
Each
phone.
to their. People have their schedules and they could do what they could do, but definitely encouraging if you're a man to go ahead and daven, go to shul, put on tefillin, and then
All
then
right.
get, then
That's
get your
good.
phone.
That should be like that every day, not just in a Saras Yemei Tshuva.
I know, but it's something that we start during a Saras Yemei Tshuva, and many people do continue it throughout the year. These programs could go, that we launched throughout the year could be seen via our WhatsApp status and Instagram. Go ahead and hit the link in the description to follow our WhatsApp status, follow us on Instagram. And this is today's Daily Thread. We'll be back tomorrow with another one. We hope you enjoyed this conversation. You can go ahead and send an email to nachi@meaningfulminute.org if you have any feedback, if you have any topics, any stories you think should be spoken about. We're going to try to, have the show evolve as we go along. So the beauty about the show is that tomorrow's news has not yet happened. So we'll see what happens for tomorrow. Until then, have an easy fast. Have a great day.